Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to Gig. I'm your host, Mike Redman. This is the fourth and final episode of our Music for Video Games series. Alec teaches us about mixing for games, the importance of stems, and how they differ from film mixes. Jeff talks about the value of high-quality demos. And I asked them both about everything from royalties in games to how they see AI shaping the future of game audio. So as always, let's jump right in. Alec, I'm going to jump back to you. We've got our creative now for this game, and we have to start looking at the real technical aspects. Could you kind of walk us through? We've got all of our music now. Walk us through from, I don't know, setting it up in your system through mixing it and stems that you might send to your client. You can talk about tools you use or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm not too much involved in the implementation side these days, but I will talk about what I do now, which is definitely more so on the mixing, mastering, and delivery side of things. I'm usually involved throughout the entire process too. So being very familiar with the music is key. When it's your turn to step in, um, and based off of that, I think templates are a big part of my workflow. And generally, when it gets to mixing and mastering stage, the client is eager to get the assets quick. So that's
Gotcha.
when the push it happens, I feel. So it's important to have your own process and method of getting things sounding great and sounding great quick.
Yeah, right.
I think the way to do that is through templates. So I will typically build like a mix template slash mastering chain around the music that I've heard throughout the process and kind of know what to expect when I receive stems. So I can just throw those into my template and it's already somewhat pre-mixed.
Would you explain real quick to everybody what stems are?
Yeah, stems are essentially groups of instruments, not to be confused with multi-tracks. Multi-tracks are when you are individual elements of stems, essentially. Oftentimes, I will get just stems, but there are cases too where you'll get the entire multi-track of the session, which is pretty helpful. And then you'll have to, as the mixer, stem that out yourself, group those how you think would make the most sense in terms of usability for the implementer. Uh, uh, that's how you'd want to group them.
How many stems might I receive from you on a project?
Anywhere generally from 10 to 20, I would say. And that really depends too. But if you have an orchestra, you want to, do your separations again in ways that makes sense. You might have your string short, your shorts, your longs, or maybe you want to separate it into high and low. Maybe there's melodic elements that you'd obviously want to be separate. Yeah, just that's kind of how I go about it. But I typically my process is very much based around a template workflow. I will have stems. I will essentially have buses already made in my DAW for what I think my stems are going to be. And then I'll generally do my balancing. If I'm given a multi-track or the stems from the composer, I'll balance them on the individual tracks and get it sounding right. And if I feel they need like processing, I'll generally do group processing on the stems. So and very little on the mix and master bus because you want your stems to essentially be as close as possible to the stereo mix, because generally in game music the team is going to work against the stems instead of the stereo file. So you don't want the sum of your stems to sound drastically different when
Hmm.
it's exported against the two mix.
And on the other side, on the developer side, what kind of like engine do they have that they put all of your stems into?
So yeah, that would be that. And after, the stems typically go into the middleware,
Hmm.
which would be software called Wise or Fmod, and that is how they manipulate the music and get it interactive with the game.
It's real cool. How often do they come back to you after they're into it for a little while and ask you to modify the stems or the music, the mixes and stuff?
Um, it's fairly often.
Hmm.
They might want small tweaks here and there.
Hmm.
But by the time the music is approved, it's sort of smooth sailing from there.
Hmm.
As long as the mix isn't drastically different than the demo that they approved.
Sure.
That's sort of important. You want to just improve the sound based around the demo that they've heard. Um, and that's another actually good thing to bring up, is the demos.
Hmm.
Jeff has talked about this before, but I feel like nowadays, the days of turning in like piano sketches or things like that
Gone,
are
gone, gone. Yeah.
more. So it recently, I mean, it's very important for a composer or producer, to be able to have that mixing ability in that sense as well, and give the client a demo, that sounds the way they intend, and make sure they're able to hear every element in that piece of music that you want them to hear. Because sometimes, there's cases where a composer might turn in a piece of music and it's might not be mixed up to par, and the client sends it back and says, hey, you're not accomplishing this and this. But then when you give them the stems, they think, oh dang, we didn't hear this in the initial demo,
Interesting. Yeah.
what we wanted. But so it's very important to you know get even your first demo as polished to the final product as
Hmm.
possible.
Right. Because you're also selling it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's at that
exactly.
point that you're selling this piece of music.
There's
So
a there's another little detail that Alec that any engineer deals with, that Alec deals with, which is in film and TV, it doesn't matter how loud the
mhm,
final mix is, how loud the stems are, because the mix is from scratch.
right.
But in games, they've actually been very, very specific with us that we deliver our stems at a much lower volume. And again, it's
Hmm.
because they want to do as little internal DSP. They don't want to
Mhm.
burden the consoles or mobile devices or
Mhm.
PCs. So Alec has had to be very precise with delivery in level,
Mhm.
which doesn't exist in film and TV at
Hmm.
all.
Yeah,
One last question that you just made me think of, Jeff, is format. I mean, what you're talking about, you're trying to get them files that are very small in size, right? But the highest fidelity. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not involved in
They do
any
that. Okay.
audio file compression.
Okay.
They may take our files and convert them into MP3s or
Hmm.
FLAC or
Hmm.
VORS. Uh, what's that? The one there's another couple other um,
Well, you probably give
compression
them.
formats. Og
You give them to them
Vorbis,
in
that's the one
Wave.
I'm
You
trying to
give them
think
to
of.
them in Wave, right? Wave
But
files.
we
yeah,
yeah we just
Yeah.
deliver WAV files in
Hmm.
folders
Hmm.
with extremely careful file naming
Hmm.
conventions, so that within the file name is all the information about that piece of music, the
Hmm.
key, the tempo, what stem it is, what part of the game score it is. So in film and TV, you often will deliver the music in a Pro Tool session,
Right. Right. So at
which
this
they
point,
merge with the Pro Tool sessions with
oh,
dialogue and sound effects. In music, we don't do any of that. In
gotcha.
video games, we don't do that.
Cool. That's a wonderful explanation, you guys. Probably one of the biggest questions I have and people have is what do you see the trends and innovations, et cetera, for game development? Where's it headed? What's AI? How's that going to affect all this stuff, do you think?
And that's a really good question. I mean, for one thing, games keep getting, still to this day, are getting more popular. And the creative range of video games continues to expand. So you can't just stay in one place. From time to time, some video game companies will put out some really innovative scores where they really give a composer an opportunity to flex a great level of creative freedom and to be quite bold and experimental. And then sometimes those things become very popular. Heavy metal was not a thing until it was.
Yeah.
EDM was not a thing until it was. The integration of world music wasn't a thing until it was. The technology of video games going from, starting with, 8-bit little beeps and boops in Kong or Donkey Kong, which is still around because it's now considered nostalgia.
Don't forget Asteroids and what's that little Pac-Man guy?
Yeah, the whole 8-bit universe. You still get asked to write music in the style of the old arcade game, 8-bit chips. But the fact is that the middleware keeps getting more sophisticated. Game engines like Unreal get more sophisticated, and they get more sophisticated in how music can be alive and interactive and immersive and creative. And so composers have had to, as Alex said earlier, learning the basics or getting very deeply into understanding how middleware works is critical. It's crucial. And it's free. You don't have to. There are tutorials online for middleware audio engines, and if the minute you understand what they can do, you become a more relevant creative asset, because now you're working in their world and not the other way around.
Interesting.
And not just doing it because that's how they do it in films. There are definitely people experimenting with AI in video games. I am not familiar yet with a game that's been released with AI music or graphics, but people are using AI to code games, generate 3D assets, to generate sound design. And no doubt there are some musical experiments going on. No doubt that will grow in sophistication, and the results will be good. So far, it's mostly been very experimental. I'm mostly reading that developers are experimenting with it for graphics and animation, but nothing has really worked out to the point where it's a commercially viable product.
I mean, it would seem that there would be some. I interviewed a guy named David Rowan. I don't know if you've heard of RoX. I'm just getting ready to release a series on AI and music. And he has great company, but he's released the first mixing system that is all AI, basically. And it's amazing. And you load all your stems, and it mixes it for you. And
Alec, thank you for your service.
Hang it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you can go back to bed now.
Well, now he's actually going out to some famous mixers, and he's training it on famous mixers. But it's fascinating. And he said something that really stuck with me. He said, "Look, musicians, a lot of musicians are just kind of afraid of AI in general. Where, am I going to have a job? Just like in the old days of MIDI, everybody can write music." But he said something that was really great. He said, musicians need to look at AI and learn about AI because it is some of the best tools in the world, in the future will come from AI. And he says, my system is one of them. It's not replacing you. He said, I know a violinist and she's this amazing concert violinist, but she can't mix. So she just loads her stuff to my system. And he says, what this allows you to do is go fast. You know, and I thought that was such a great line. It was very much about, don't be afraid of this. It's just another tool.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. And actually, we are using tools now. Alec is using dynamics processors and EQs that are using AI elements that are based on certain training. And so, we're not eschewing it. I mean, from the creative aspect, in terms of job threats, like basically ROX is a threat to mixing engineers.
It's yes. And yes
generative
and no,
AI is a threat to composers and songwriters and performers and everybody involved creatively.
Yeah. So, what do you think? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to just ask Alex, what's your take on it? You're younger than all of us.
I mean, for me personally, I currently am enjoying it.
Yeah.
It definitely has been helping me get rid of a lot of the strenuous tasks that I don't, like doing.
Yep.
So I use it often. OpenAI or and the plugins too. Things like to get technical soothe.
Sure.
If you're working on a vocal and you want to tame resonances, you don't have to go into your EQ and notch out each little thing that you might be hearing.
Sure.
It kind of helps you out and does it for you, and it's it's a time saver, and I really appreciate that, especially in our world now, with video games and if you're working in TV and film, there's quick turnarounds. Anything to save time is good for me, and I don't really see it taking over what we do soon, at least.
I don't see that happening at all, and I'll tell you why. It is because you guys offer a much bigger service, right? You understand the emotion. You understand how all of these systems work. You bring so much experience to this, gaming world. Yes, there are games that you said earlier on, Jeff. They're games that they don't have any money. Those will probably start using, generated music, right?
Sure.
But the average, and I was talking to somebody about this not too long ago, Adam Taylor, actually, and we were talking about the companies that these bigger gaming companies, for example, they have a music budget, and if they even, if they pulled some of that music budget out and did it with AI, they're not really saving that much. So, that money is money that's well spent. It's almost like saying, I don't need a DP. I don't need a cinematographer anymore because I'm going to have my automated, this thing flying around on a drone and doing the film for me, right? It's sort of the same thing. You guys offer a creative process that you're not going to be able to replicate with AI.
Yeah, I think that's
not everybody would agree with that. Some people are more bullish on it.
Yeah.
I do feel that whether you're a film director or a video game audio director, the ability to communicate, I really want to be able to communicate subtle shifts in mood, emotion, production quality, which AI is still very, very mediocre. Creatively, I still think AI music is still mediocre. Also, whenever a composer writes anything original for a game or a film, they are asked to sign a document, a contract, which says that the music is original, and should there be a claim of plagiarism, that it would be the composer's responsibility to take the blame and be legally charged with plagiarism. With AI, since AI is based entirely on the training of algorithms on existing music, the ability for AI can never, ever promise that, first of all, it can't enter into a legal agreement. So anybody who uses AI creatively has the potential of losing a copyright or IP complaint. So in broadcasting, they're not willing to take those risks. In games, nobody that I know of has been willing to take those risks. Mm-hmm. Streamers who are using AI content to score TikTok videos or Instagram videos, mm-hmm. nobody really cares, and there's buckets of AI music. I like to think mm-hmm. that when you're collaborating, they want your talent, but they want your authenticity as well.
Yep.
And the ability to have that two-way dialogue of, mm-hmm. I wish it could be a little more of this, which AI is not really able to do, although it will. Eventually we'll be able to say, I think at 37 seconds, get it a little more. I'm sure it probably already is happening to some extent, because there are film score algorithmic generators, AI generators. So my feeling is between the nuance, the commitment, the authenticity, and the potential of liability, mm-hmm. Human creators still have a substantial future.
A couple more questions and wanted to wrap this up. This has been absolutely fascinating, actually, to me.
Michael, this is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So I forgot to ask you this, because I mean, we're not going to get into copyright and stuff like that, but how about, do you guys receive did you guys receive performance or residual for the music you do, or is it kind of work for hire?
Not very often. There are almost no video games that have signed agreements with PROs.
Damn.
There are a few exceptions. And
I guess it's hard to track, isn't it?
It isn't. Actually.
Oh, really?
Unlike movies and TV that broadcast on streaming services in Turkey or South Africa, video game developers know exactly how many downloads or plays of a game. So that part is trivial relative. But the history of video games has been that composers are paid an upfront fee, and that's the end of it. No royalties for the composer, no residuals for the talent. Video games do work with unions, like quite a few games use SAG, Screen Actors Guild talent, but there are special video game rates for singers, actors, musicians, and it's a buyout. So there's a carve out for buyout video games that organizations like Screen Actors Guild typically don't give. But only recently has there been some money paid to composers on certain platforms and only in certain countries. So right now, games that are downloaded from the Sony PlayStation store in the UK do pay a royalty for the use of the music, whether it's licensed or composed. So it works like a cue sheet, except it's based on these downloads. There's a push to try to get other countries to join in. I think it's starting to happen. Some of the PROs are starting to take a much more progressive view. ASCAP is doing advocacy to try to see that more composers get some kind of royalty for their work in games. There's a push to standardize the equivalent of what a cue sheet would look like on a film or television score. So it's slightly early days, but there is a shift towards it. But as of right now, the vast majority of all deals are buyouts for the music, in which the video game developers keep the copyright, the masters, and the publishing.
All the publishing, okay. Wow.
All stay with the game company, with a few exceptions, but rare.
Thank you. That's interesting. There are other cases where I used to do a lot of work. It was just work for hire, and I used to have this contract with Disney, and because I was doing a lot of work for them, I was signed 3 or 4 contracts a week, and they would send me this. Every time I'd do a commercial or something, this 25-page thing, and I finally went to legal, and I said, guys, can we just get like a 1-pager, and it just says you wrote it, we own it.
Yep, that's right.
That's kind of funny. Like that. So, just lastly, I just wanted to ask you both, what is it you love so much about writing music for games?
Um, well, I mean, I love the creative aspect of it. I mean, I really like the start of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Experimentation. That's probably my favorite part. It's my time to, you know, turn off the outside world and hone in on the craft and I just it's fun for me. It's what I love to do. It's what I've always loved to do. And I'm so grateful to be able to do this for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean video game music specifically, what I like about it is it's just a different mindset when
Mm-hmm.
you know, thinking about writing, your music, especially if you're working on a game that requires loop segments and stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it forces you to think differently
Yeah.
than a typical linear piece of music that you might write. I don't know, to release on as a solo project
Sure.
or whatnot. So that's something that I really appreciate about video game music, and also the ability to just um, write in a variety, be given a variety of different projects, and one might have you do orchestral music, and the other one might be death metal. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love being able to work within a wide range of styles and genres too. I think that's a lot of fun for me.
That's cool. Anything to
It's
add to that,
very,
Jeff? Yeah.
for me, it's very liberating
Mm-hmm.
to be able to create a world with music
Mm-hmm.
and have it be a little unshackled from the demands of scoring picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because from a creative perspective, writing music for video games is a little more pure music. Because you aren't having to scoop and dive and
Yeah.
work your way around edits and dialogue. You really write much more purely.
Mm-hmm.
And so creating a world in a more musically pure way
Mm-hmm.
is really exciting. It is different. It's more like just writing music for the sake of writing music. And then of course, yes, you have to adhere to expectations and the desires of the people you collaborate with. But there is a purity to it. It is a more musical form
Mm-hmm.
of composing, away from film. The thing that
Yeah.
I spent most of my career doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that. I love that, and I also love the fact that I get to write in a wider range of styles and genres and instrumentations, and have some opportunities to be a little more experimental at times. But that is a really enjoyable part of it. Is just writing good music.
That's awesome, guys. I want to just thank both of you. I don't. Oops! I'm trying to get this thing straight. I'm trying to get better at this, man. I'll tell you what. There it is. I actually was trying to.
Good.
Well, I was trying to do little video things to try to get focus on whoever was really talking, but it's a lot of clicking around. So, if you see, you'll probably see some weirdness in the end. But hopefully, I'll be able to cut it out. But this was so much fun talking to you guys about this. I just think that the world of gaming music it's really, really different than anything I've ever done. But I can see where it would be really, really fulfilling, to just jump from project to project and do, Ethiopian dinner music, as to whatever. And I think that you've passed along a lot of great information to the folks that are out there writing, and I think it's really, really good for them to just see some other people that do what they do and get your opinions.
Thank you. Well, we really appreciate you having us on a lot, Michael, and you provide a tremendous service to the community of musicians, young and old, and more experienced and less experienced. People can always get a hold of us through our website of imperiasound.com, and they can find both of us on social media. I'm Jeff Rona and Alec Justice. you know, and you can follow Imperia on social media. We let people know what we're up to, and you can get a hold of us and DM. People definitely can, you know, check out One Last Time.
There, hold that thing
The
nice
Real
and
World
close.
on
There
Amazon
it is.
or wherever.
Yep.
And yeah, go to the websites and check us out. We hope that what we've presented today is of some interest and benefit.
Oh my gosh, it is. And the games that you work on, I'm going to run a little list on this video of some of the work that you guys do, and I'll have all the contacts.
You can grab
as well.
most of that off the website.
Oh, great, perfect. So I'll just make the website thing like really, really big. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the day. Thank you for
you as well.